one quick question I had, sir, was
Yes.
the HELOC. That's what I was trying to ask. The HELOCs, how do they factor into this? And that was one of the things that I tried. I had to get enough equity
Hmm.
in my property before I could participate in the HELOC. But is that part of the strategy, or am I in left field with that?
No, you're not in field. We have clients that use HELOCs, but to have a HELOC is not necessary to do this program. Okay. So can I take you through a quick example?
Please, by all means.
Okay, so let me put on this $200,000 mortgage, and I'm just making up some numbers here, and I got a HELOC, okay? And the $200,000 mortgage is at 6%. Let's say I can get a HELOC because HELOCs are variable rate, all right? And a HELOC is a home equity line of credit, folks. Home equity line of credit. HELOC is an acronym for that. It is a second mortgage. It's a revolving line of credit. And when you get approved for it, let's say you can get approved for $60,000, okay, of your equity. All right. But you don't pay interest on it until you borrow some of that money. You can pay it back and borrow it again, revolving just like a credit card. All right. So now I think this is what you're getting at. So let's say my interest rate is 10%, or I can use the HELOC money. So does it make sense to borrow the 10% HELOC money and put it on this 6% loan? That's the first question.
Not at all.
All right. Because if we look at that, we would say, why would we take 10% money and put it on the 6% loan? Here's why. You need to do the math. When we do the math, it makes sense. Okay? So let me give you a quick illustration of what's going on here. So if we've got $60,000, let's say we borrow $10,000 from the HELOC. All right. So now we start paying 10% interest on that money. All right. So we borrowed $10,000 from the HELOC and we're going to put it on this loan. Now, if we do that, all we have to do is look at the column that says cumulative principal. And I can go down to $10,000. Uh-oh, here we go. When I get to $10,000, that takes me down to line 45 on this mortgage. So, Desi, putting that $10,000 on the mortgage, I just knocked off 44 payments. Now, does that make sense?
It does.
Now, guess how much interest I just knocked off? $43,000 in interest I don't have to pay.
Amazing.
Do I have
That's
to-
what I'm looking for. That's what I wanted. That's a mic drop. Thank you.
So if I have a 10% loan, okay, if I have a 10% loan and I borrow $10,000, okay, what's 10% of $10,000, Desi?
1,000. Or is it 100?
No, you're right. You're right. So here's my question. Would you pay $1,000 so you could save 43,000?
Of course. I
Well, here's the thing. You're not even going to pay the $1,000. Do you know why? I'm going to give you a little something. Now, this isn't the P.I.L.L method, but this is understanding interest cancellation. Okay? I'm not explaining to you my program. I'm explaining to you the concept of interest cancellation. Okay, Desi?
Yes, sir. I
So,
understand.
so now you owe $10,000, but let's just say you make $5,000. Okay, you're making $5,000 a month, but your bills add up to $4,000 a month. So instead of taking that $5,000 and putting it in your checking account to pay your bills, could you take that $5,000 you're making per month and put it into the HELOC on the balance of the HELOC? Could you take that $5,000 and place it in that loan product, Desi?
I'm tracking. Yes,
Okay.
I would.
You could put it there, okay? So now you still owe $10,000, right? But you put $5,000 into the line of credit. So even though you owe 10,000, you're paying interest on 5,000. Does that make sense?
It does.
So now, all the time you're paying interest on 5,000, you start to pay your bills from the HELOC instead of your checking account. Eventually, you're going to pay $4,000 worth of bills. But every day your money stays in there, you're paying less and less interest. So now you paid your $4,000 worth of bills. That's $1,000 left over. And at the end of the month, you no longer owe $10,000, but you owe $9,000, right?
Correct.
Because you put in 5, but you spent 4. And the next month, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put in 5, but you spend 4. Now you owe $8,000. So if you keep doing that, how long is it going to take you to pay back that money, sir?
Probably less than a year.
Less than a year. But by putting your income in there, canceling that interest too, you're not even going to pay $1,000. What it comes down to, you probably end up spending around $250 to $300 by the time it's all done, because of using interest cancellation on both sides. Interest cancellation on the money you borrowed, and interest cancellation on the mortgage you just saved the money on. And by the time that 8 to 10 months is done, Desi, could you do that process all over again?
Most definitely.
Now, like I said, this is not my program. My program is actually more specific than that. We're going to actually save you more interest, more time than the process I just described. But by Desi bringing that up, it is a perfect example of interest cancellation. Now, what can you do to optimize it? The program can tell you that $1,000 that's left over, Desi, isn't that the same $1,000 you could put in your savings account instead of paying back a loan?
It is.
So let's just say we eliminate the loan altogether. We get to the point where we are paying our bills. We bring in $5,000, but we spend $4,000. We could put that $1,000 in savings, and in 3 months we'll have $3,000. And we're living our life the way we normally would. We're going to put that $3,000 away. So could you then take, in this case, $2,456 of that money and wipe out 1 year on the mortgage of money that you have sitting in a savings account? And we can eliminate the HELOC altogether, and you can use your HELOC to invest in other properties. How does that sound?
Amazing.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.